What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Ruben and Jessie podcast. As always, I am Jessie.
And I'm Ruben.
And if this is your first time, this won't be your last. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We do want to quickly acknowledge that the output of shows have been kind of rocky lately, not our typical schedule. But our lives have been not on typical schedule lately. So we've been
the truth.
we've been shifting, things are changing, our lives are evolving and changing just like everyone else. And so thank you for holding space while we do that. And we also get to step up in our integrity and continue to learn how to adapt the podcast to our lives. So we are definitely committing to that moving forward. Today,
it's a big day.
It's a big day. Today's an exciting day. We're gonna do another 3-part series. It looked like you guys really enjoyed the last one, so we're gonna keep rocking with these and just diving deep on topics. Really selfishly, we enjoy these. I think they're opportunities to reflect and just have a deep dive in a way you typically don't on a day-to-day basis, but also for you guys to get a deeper insight into how we're thinking, how we're maneuvering, how we're going about shifting things in our lives and progressing. So thanks for tuning in and let's go. So today's topic actually came up because I felt like the last few times that we've done our truth sessions, a lot of times it's about how fucking awesome we are or like a lot of things that we're like working on that's like working well, or like this sort of things kind of in like living from a place of hindsight. A lot of what we've talked about is like, oh, we went through this thing, now we're on the other side of it, now we can talk about it. 100%. And so this 3-part series is going to be about things that we don't have hindsight on because we're actively working on them, or we want to be actively working on them, and for whatever reason we're not, because we have whatever hangups or blockages around these topics. So we picked 3 topics, 3 areas of where we see we could use improvement in our lives, in our perceptions, in our actions, and whatever the case may be. So we're gonna focus on one each per hour, and each one is going to get progressively more uncomfortable. So and the truth is any of these you've taken far enough, it can get super uncomfortable. But where we're at with it, you'll see. So make sure you stick for all 3 episodes, because little by little it's going to get stranger and stranger in where we where we're where our vulnerabilities lie, where our weaknesses are, and where we truly have room to be better men and better humans. So without further ado, Ruben, why don't you kick us off? Why don't you take the lead here? Since the last one, I definitely talked a whole lot with my abstinence and all that good stuff. So why don't you kick us off and let us know what your numero uno is, and we'll rock out from there.
Well, you mean the number 3, because I think we're going, the number 1 is just like, fuck, this sucks. Like,
yeah.
Go through it.
Okay, number 3, yes.
So I would say number 3 would be like, and just to paint a picture for y'all listening, a few years ago, where Jessie and I met was emotional intelligence program that was like 6 months long. And in the final part of the program, because it's a 3-part experience, we got to do a personality assessment. And when we did that personality assessment, it came with, and I just Googled this, I'm being my own little Jamie over here. There were 4 personalities that you will fall into. The 1 is a controller, 2 is a promoter, 3 is an analyzer, and 4 is a supporter. Jessie and I, funny enough, I think this is why we get along. We fell in the same boat.
Yeah.
So to everyone, we fell in the boat that is a promoter. I'm not going to go through all of them. You can Google these and find out what they are and what they mean. But a promoter is your entertainer. They're the one that's kind of like, we get the party together. We're like, hey, everyone, come in here. Let's do this. Let's have a good time. We can be the life of the party.
Mm-hmm.
And we're pretty great at it. We're good at like connecting. We're great at all these things. The challenge that comes with being a promoter, and I start here, and then I'll go into like why I like I'm so close to this, because it's still something I'm working on like over 4 years later. Is
Sure.
that a promoter tends to like be very excited about things in the beginning, and then just like as the realness sets in of like how long things take, how much investment it takes, like all these things, we're like, I don't want to do this no more. And Jesse and I can attest to this. And Jesse, remember, we started a social media
Mm-hmm.
marketing agency, I think twice.
Yes.
Just to be completely honest with y'all, we tried this twice, and both times, like we were super excited in the beginning. We like enrolled all these people. Like I think we even got paid for doing it for like two
Mm-hmm.
people, and it just fizzled out. I think that we just like were like, oh, other things are happening. We're gonna stop doing this. And that
Yep.
happened twice. Not to mention like personal like projects I've done, whether that was like my photography stuff, my videography stuff. Like the minute I was just like, oh, I need to get better equipment, or I need to do this, or I need to do that, I was just like, meh, I'm not gonna do this no more. And it was just like
Mm.
jumping from thing to thing to thing. And this has shown up in many ways in my life, whether that's was with women in my past, um, with projects like this. And in my life now, I've gotten much better with like being, and what's the best word I can use? Being like just writing it out. Like I know this is gonna suck right now, but I just have to write it out because something will come out of this later. And I would say like many times I've wanted to quit working, for instance, and just jump into another job. But it's
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, this is temporary, what you're going through, this hardship, your busyness of this, just temporary. And it's only going to fix itself if you speak up, for instance, or it's only going to
Mm-hmm.
fix itself if you find software that can support you, or find a person that can support you, find a mentor, whatever the case may be. Like find those things. Same thing with our personal brands. Like I think I've revamped my Instagram. Like the one I have was like, this is the last one because it was like my fourth one.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so it's like jumping through things. Oh, this didn't work, so I'm gonna completely stop and start new ones. I had like 4 YouTube channels in the past. I've recreated and created websites multiple times, and I'm like, oh my god, like why do I do that? And it was this promoter energy that I I I have. And it's shown up in all personality assessment. Like people might be saying, like, oh, you only took one. It's like, no, I've taken like 8. And all of them
Mm-hmm.
show the same thing. It's consistent. um,
Mm-hmm.
so, over the past year or so, I think, and this has happened, right? Like I moved to China, came back to New York. I'm living out here in California, and I'm like, maybe we'll be back in New York in like a year or two. Like, and it just keeps going. But it's like, what happens if you just like if you stay, or if you look at somewhere else to move? Like, does it have to be New York? Unless something really brings me there and I feel called to that, obviously. Like it has to be a big pull, and I have to be self-aware of that. But it's like, how much am I jumping around? And is it necessary? Um, like being in a 7-year relationship is not always easy, but I've probably this is my best lesson. Like being in a 7-year
Mm.
relationship and holding on to like not jumping to the beautiful woman that I probably can just talk to and immediately, get her into my web. You know what I mean? Like it's not hard. I've done it before. So it's things like that I've like I have to hold on to, because it still comes up. There's sometimes, being honest, like Karina and I can get into a big fight, and I'm just like, this would be so much easier if I just
Mm.
had, multiple women as I had before, because I could just be like, okay, I'm not gonna be with you then. If you're gonna show up this way, I go to the next one. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and that still exists within me. It's still
Mm.
very much a very strong feeling,
Mm.
but my power stands in like what is that going to do? Like, ask yourself the right questions, be self-aware. That's just an example, but something I needed to do was get rid of my PlayStation, because I tend to do that with little projects. I'm writing a
Mm,
blog post, I'll pause it, play some games for a little bit, and then come back to it. And guess what happens? I don't come back to it.
mm,
Right?
mm,
And I have like maybe 3 or 4 blog posts that are just like partially done. And this week actually I've been getting back to them and like finishing them out, or like deleting it completely and being like, this is actually not a thought that I have anymore. Um, but it's about like, sticking in there and like finishing it. Like, what
mhm.
is it? What would that look like if you finish it? And that's the question I've been asking myself. So not jumping around anymore, sticking in there, like going through the shit if I have to, and just seeing the end, seeing what the end looks like. Because I think there was a bit of uncomfortableness that stood with being in something. It's just like, this is too uncomfortable. I don't want to do it anymore. So I'm going to escape to this thing, or escape to this thing, or escape to this new thing, because new things are always exciting. But there's
Yeah,
also beauty in keeping things, um, with you constantly. Like whether that's a partner, um, a project you're working on, a book you're writing, a video you're making and editing, like those things. If you just stay till the end, like it's like the movies show it. Although the movies show it in like a form of like very fast, but like as you're sitting there, like, I don't know where this video is going if I'm editing, for instance.
mm,
But if I sit on it or I'm like playing with things, all of a sudden I get like, it's like magic. Like this opening happens, like, oh, the spark, boom, oh, maybe this, if I do this and this and this, and then all of a sudden I get this momentum, and then I create something beautiful from that.
mhm,
And I've been in
mhm.
that so many times, and it's only when I'm able to move beyond that point of just like, this is not working, I don't know what I'm doing, maybe I should just give up, maybe I should just let this be, that the real shit really comes up. The real
Yeah.
good juicy stuff starts to come up. So that's a lesson that I get to continue
Mm,
learning, because it's
mm,
definitely something I still struggle with to this day, where I want to jump to new things, but I'm like, hold still, hold it. And sometimes I fail. Sometimes I'm like, I play the game. I obviously I sold my PlayStation recently, but over the last few months, like I had to get rid of it. I was like, I can't have
mm,
it nearby. Like, I thought that was the case. I was like, yeah, I can keep it and just play it on Sundays, when I'm relaxing. That never happened, man. So I had to like take it away. Same thing with, as we talked about, masturbation. Like, I could jump to that because it's like, oh, I'm doing this thing. I don't want to do this no more. I'm bored and whatever.
mm,
Oh, let me go
mm.
masturbate.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with that promoter energy.
And so
Um,
for you, what do you feel would be a catalyst um, in in sup- in support of, like, well, what does taking it to the next level look like, as far as, because part of it is that this thing is something that you've gotten better at, right? So what does better than better look like, right? How do you get even, what is the next level of commitment look like for you? And what are some of the catalysts that get to be made so that you can actually be better than better?
right. And that is twofold. I think I'm working on, and this is something I'm actually working on right now, is like creating systems, because you
Mm,
can't really just trust the human biology, because the hormones, the things that get activated, the serotonin and all these things that get activated to keep you engaged in something, lose it after a while, right? Well, this is why people get divorced after 10 years of marriage. This is why they stop having sex, right? Because they don't know these things. They don't know that this biology exists. And it's like, well, what can you do and put in place of that so that you can make biology work for you? There's a lot of that's shit that people don't know, but luckily, you and I are like big readers. We like to learn these things. We listen to podcasts. We're seekers of this knowledge.
mm,
Um, and for me, like, I have seek the knowledge and making sure I'm better, and that's twofold. That's discipline, and that's creating systems. So like, I went to school for computer information systems, so I learned a bit of coding, and one of the biggest things you utilize is like a if then statement. So,
mm,
and I talked about this on one of my recent blog posts, and it's like, when I have an issue, if this happens, then I do this. Like, if I have a system built out like that, I cannot fail, because it's like I already have those processes in place. So it's like creating systems to make sure that I get it done. And I'm taking little pieces away from my own day job because this is what we do. Hey, if this doesn't
Mhm.
work for a particular individual that we're coaching, then we do this. Oh, if that doesn't work, then we do this. We literally have like a 14-step process. Like these are the things we go through. And then the final one, if that doesn't work, then we can't support that student anymore. And we have to, make sure they get out the program because it's not going to work out
Mm.
for them.
Yeah.
We have a system and process, and that's what I get to build, right? I'm in the process of building. Like, what's that process that I'm building to make sure, like, if I'm writing a blog post, what's going to make it engaging, what's going to make it interesting, not only for myself but for the reader. So I have my little notes on my little whiteboard there, but it's just like I've been reading a book, for instance, that has literal step-by-step processes to like building a stories. So like a lot of the stuff we talk about and a lot of the stuff we write, all on stories. I was like, how can I become a better writer and telling a story that makes sense? Because I'm a horrible writer, but I know I can get much better, right? So that's me right now. That's where I'm at. It's like what systems I'm creating and having the discipline to follow the system that I
Mm.
create. So
I love that for sure.
what about you, bro?
Yeah, I mean, when I hear you say this, like I definitely have, as being a promoter, I definitely have that tendency as well. Um, and I think similarly over the last year and a half to 2 years, it's something, I mean, this is something you called me out on like years ago when we had our mushroom trip, which is crazy to think that that was years ago now.
I
But
know, right? Now, like, was that last year? Sure, was last year, right? Nope, it was like
no,
2.5,
well,
3 years ago.
exactly. It's crazy, man. It's crazy how long. Because when we did next level, I was 19.
Jesus, I can't think that.
That's fucking nuts. When I did Discovery, I was 19. I'm about to turn 24. That's how long we've known each other, bro. Fuck. That's so. You knew me when I was still a teen something. I was still a teenager, technically, right? Like you knew me when I was a teenager. I was 19. Fuck. So this was definitely something you called me out on years ago, where I was just jumping from thing to thing to thing to thing. And part of me, like, I'm gonna let myself off the hook here and say part of that is being young and just experimental and
Yeah, of
like,
course.
trying things out and figuring out like what the fuck is my lane. And I think over the last year and a half, especially after San Diego, I learned that if you're gonna do something, you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. You know what I mean? You gotta
All
do
the
it.
way.
And we've talked about this, about like the 3-year rule, which is like, if you're gonna choose to do something, can you see yourself doing it for 3 years with no results?
Mm.
Meaning, like, can you commit to this without it being exactly the way you fantasize it to be for 3 years? And if you can't do it, then you probably shouldn't do it. And I'd be lying if I said I still don't. And if you hear that in the background, welcome to New York City. Um,
That's crazy during COVID too.
um, uh, uh, like, and I'd be lying if I said that I always make that decision proper. I still will find myself investing my time and energy into fantasies that, once I realize what type of work is required behind it, um, I quit on it, and I would have ended up wasting money, time, energy, and then also my integrity, integrity is going to be one of the ones that will come up, will be one of the next, one of the following ones, because that is something that's been on my mind a lot. But I think it rolls into this thing that we're talking about here, is like, when we say what we say, do we mean it?
Mm.
When we say we're going to do something, do we actually mean it? And it doesn't, and if you're not doing the things you say, what I've come to realize is that it's, you're not, like, you're too loose with your words, and you're too loose
Mm.
with your commitments, right? Like a commitment, like I'll say me, like if I'm doing that and that's happening a lot, where I say, hey, I'm joining this thing, or I'm doing this thing, and I'm seeing it through, and it doesn't happen, and I'm okay with that. Well, listen, that's allowed to happen. But if that's a theme in my life, well, then why am I so casual with making a commitment?
Right.
Why am I so willing to be? Why am I so okay with committing to something and allowing it to fail? Maybe I need to make less commitments. Maybe I need to be very cautious about the things I choose to say yes to and choose to pursue. Because if I don't do that thing, then my container of integrity, right? The Legos that are in that container are less, right? I have less integrity to build on. And so it's easy for me to get used to committing to things and not seeing them through. And that's something that I definitely am seeing is something that I get to continue to work on. And for me, as far as catalysts go, the thing that I've come to realize, and when we talked recently about the men's work and the men's retreat that's coming up and all that stuff, and if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, we're gonna do a podcast about it soon. But Ruben's coming out to New York to participate in a men's retreat that is going to be facilitated by myself and our brother Nikita. And the thing that I come to realize is like the idea of the one thing. And I remember reading that book years ago. The One Thing. And I think I was just too young or whatever. I'm not going to justify it. Like, I didn't really see that as a truth, that there has to be a one thing. I really thought that there was like, nah, you could do whatever the fuck you want. You could have multiple whatever, you could go in all different directions, and you can. But when you're building a foundation, aka when you haven't done shit yet, right? Like when you haven't, not that we haven't done shit, but when you haven't established that vision for yourself on something, it's got to be a one thing, and then from there it becomes another one thing. But it has to, because in 10 years it may look like you did all these different things, but really you just went from one thing to one thing to one thing. You know what I mean? And so I've officially come to terms with, and this is a new lesson, that there has to be a one thing. There has to be one thing that you can do that you will see all the way through. And the thing is like, I wish I could explain to you how to find that one thing. Maybe I'll be able to do that in a year or 2 years when I look back on my life and figure out how it all came together. But what for me, it's really kind of luck. I don't want to use the word luck, but it was kind of happenstance, in the sense of I tried a bajillion things that failed royally, and the circumstances came to be where it just became crystal clear that, hey, all your skills, everything you're good at, everything that's around you will support this particular mission. And this is a mission that you can get behind. This is a mission that you have confidence in. This is something that excites you, that's fun. And then the second thing, which is the other catalyst, is support. And I think this is something that I think, especially for men, we get to really allow in our lives, is understanding that like no man is an island, no mission is an island, and that like creating if you're someone who lacks integrity or is easy to be flimsy on your commitment, then commit to something with somebody else. Because even though you've had lack of commitment, you've been in a relationship for 7 years, right? So like, what is the catalyst? The catalyst is that there's somebody else involved. Yep. There's someone else involved. So like for this situation, it's Nikita, right? It's the men's group. It's you. It's like the podcast. We've been consistent with the podcast. Why? Because there's two of us, right? Yep. But when I take on projects solo, right? When I just say, hey, I'm going to go do my coaching thing, or I'm going to go do my blah, blah, blah. Those things flip because it's just me. I'm not committed. It's a soul, and some people are good with that. Some people are really good at that and can take on solo projects and can be alone, not like they're able to access their ability in lone wolfing it. And then in some things I am too. Like when it comes to my spiritual growth and personal development, I can lone wolf that shit all day long. You know what I mean? Like give me a
That and
book.
working out. Like I
Yeah,
don't give a fuck.
exactly.
Like I love to work out
Exactly.
alone.
Exactly. I don't need anyone else. I don't need
Nope.
anyone to hold me accountable to those things.
Nope.
Whereas some people, they may be great, solopreneurs, but they need a personal trainer. They need, this. So it really depends on what
Exactly.
areas of life. But I think for me, and it sounds like for you too, there's a benefit when you have to be held accountable to somebody else, and someone else is dependent on you to show up and perform. And so I think those two things for me is where I get to expand on my
I have a
level of
bunch to
commitment.
share about integrity, but we'll get there in the next one because I was just like things were coming up, and I'm like, let's save this, y'all. Let's keep y'all, in there.
tuning in, keep tuning in.
Keep tuning in.
Yeah, we're dropping nuggets right now. All right, I hope you guys are paying attention because this is some fire shit.
Notes.
This is some fire shit breathing through right now. Anything else based off of what I just said, or are you ready to move on to mine?
No, because that leads to a bigger conversation on integrity, and I think we should save that for the next one. So let's move on to what Jesse has in his number 3.
Number 3, yeah. So for me, my number 3 is self-expression, and really, I think self-expression is such a huge. All of these are such large topics.
Yes,
that you can take them all the way down, and I can have a 3-hour conversation on self-expression myself. But we won't do that here. And it's all going to tie in.
Summarize.
Yeah, it's all going to tie into one another into some level anyway. So, but for me, self-expression, because like I've always actually seen myself as someone who could carry his individuality, right? I could be me. I could be myself, and I've over the years have become better at expressing my own being. But what's interesting is what I noticed was that, like, I'll give you an example that comes to mind. What I started to notice in the last, let's say last year, 7 months. I remember there was a point, and I think this was already starting to come through, but there was a point where I was walking. Was I walking? No, I was in a gym. And I look at this guy, and I'm like, and I look at myself in the mirror, and I go, we're wearing pretty much the same exact clothes. We have the same headphones, and we have the same haircut. You know what I mean?
Yeah, doppelganger.
And that wasn't but here's the thing, that wasn't the first time. There were multiple times where that happened, right? And what that said to me was like, what that made me think about was like, how many of the choices am I making are really mine? When I'm choosing to express myself, is it really me coming through, or am I taking in the same similar content, similar information? Am I getting the same Facebook ads? Am I aspiring to the same celebrities? Am I following the same Instagram pages as this guy? You know what I mean? Like, am I assuming I'm being original by a subconscious narrative that is being fed by the content I consume, right? And that started to really hit me, and it started to make me think, like, how much of the way I express myself is really me. Because then, I do love to emulate myself off of people who inspire me, whether that's aesthetically, right? The certain clothes, certain like Buck Mason, like shout out to Buck Mason. I love their clothing, but also like their models are handsome men, right? Their models are handsome men, rugged look, right?
Rugged look, yep.
Relaxed, chill, you know, fucking got a little bit of muscle on them. Like it's obviously there are things about that attract me to that idea, to that narrative. And at the same time, I have to realize that Buck Mason knows that, right? Like Buck Mason knows that that's a thing. They're not picking these guys and having them dressed this way for no reason, right? They're doing that
Very
for a
strategic, folks.
They're doing that because they know there are men who will feel that, will be attracted to that. That's not wrong. It's not wrong if you're attracted to specific types, but is it really you? And for that, it is really like I really like that look. I really like that type of clothing and attire and feel and sort of this like classy edginess. I really enjoy, and so that's me, you know. But then, you know, another thing that started to come up was color, right? Like I remember I was telling you this, I was telling my friends this, that like all my clothes are black, white, and gray, right? And I look around New York,
bro.
I look around New York City, and I'm like, everyone's wearing black, white, and gray, right? And I go, again, is this me? Is this me? Do I like black, white, and gray? Or is this just what I'm used to because this is my environment and this is just how people dress? And so that was like a risk, quote unquote, risk that I started to take. And I say it like that because it was really uncomfortable. Like I bought a pink shirt, you know, I bought a yellow shirt. And these are not things that I'm used to. You know, I'm not used to wearing that. You also, because you're in New York City and everyone's wearing black, white, and gray, if you're wearing a pink shirt, maybe no one gives a fuck. Probably no one gives a fuck. But to you, you're like, oh, I'm standing out right now. I'm expressing something with this choice, right? And I think there's also something that just came through. I think there's also like this idea about New Yorkers, especially in style, and I could be completely fucked wrong. I'm no fashionista,
Yeah.
But this idea of like there's this sense of like laissez-faire where it's like you're trying but you're not trying. You know what I mean? Like you wore that, you wore it, but it's like you just picked it off the closet, even though that's not really what the fuck happened. Like you definitely spent 10 minutes figuring out exactly what you're gonna wear with what shoes and blah blah blah. But you're wearing black or you're wearing gray, and so it's like whatever, you know what I mean? Versus like if you put on a fucking nice threaded, you know, thick knitted pink shirt, it's like you chose that, you know, like you made a choice to wear that. You made
very conscious choice.
You cared about how you presented yourself. And I think there's part of that too, which is like I want to be this like edgy guy who just like he doesn't care, you know, like I don't care, you know. But I do care, you know, and I always cared. So why not actually embrace that all the way instead of like pretending you don't care, even though you really do, you know? So there's that aspect of it, right? And so like my clothing choices have started to change. The way I dress is starting to change. You know, I bought some pants today that is like not my typical style, but it's like I like the way that looks. I like the way it feels. I like the way certain things match with that. And it's like, that's me, you know, that's cool. And experimenting with different styles and experimenting with like, you don't always like, I can have different looks. I can have different, you know, ways of matching and mixing my clothing, you know? Another one is like, if we're going to stay on like just the aesthetic version of it, you know, we're going to talk about these. So I recently got some tattoos on my hands that we'll talk about soon, because our brother Ruben actually has an appointment coming up as well. And so when that happens, we'll do a whole episode on our new tats, but our new tats. But the thing was like, I remember leading up to it, I was like, really, I knew it was my truth. I knew it was my truth to get these tattoos on my hands.
Were you scared?
I was scared because I was like, this is an automatic, like if you see someone with tattoos on their hands, you know they have, like, you can't hide tattoos on your hands, right? I have this big ass tattoo on my forearm, but if I put a long sleeve on, you have no idea it exists.
The hands is not escaping unless you put
hands is hands is right there, you know, and it was just like, it was like, I know this is me, I know this. And also my dad was making fun of me, you know, like none of my friends have hand tattoos, you know, it's not necessarily the most common thing. And I got birds. You know what I mean? I got birds. I didn't get like no crazy skull or fucking bad. Like, I think these are badass, but it's more, it speaks to a gentler side of me. I think my other tattoo does as well. There's power in them, but there's definitely a more gentle touch. And it's, again, like if there was that fear around freely expressing myself. And once I had them on, I was like, yo, this is me. Like, this, of course this is me. Of course this is me, you know, and stepping into that. Another one, and then we'll move on to the mental emotional part of it, is something that's been coming up for me lately, is getting a nose ring. Yeah. Ruben looked at me funny. What comes up for you with that?
It's questionable.
What do you mean?
Well, it's not common. Especially amongst men. It's already not common amongst women. And I know it's like very gender neutral, like men and women have it, like not necessarily like, oh, you have it and you're gay. I mean, back in the day when things were less like, the way they are now with culture, when I was in junior high school, that was considered gay. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, sure. Same.
very much so. Like, when you come into, in the recent years, like the shit we used to say in junior high school is totally not okay now. Like, yo, that's gay. And I know Joe Rogan has a great skit, I think on his second Triggered, maybe it was Triggered, I don't remember, one of his comedies things about like, the whole like, that's gay, and it's just like, it's not a bad thing, but so it's just like one of those, like, it was like what my inner teenager was just like, what?
Yeah, for those who may not come from a place where that's a common saying, if someone says, yo, that's gay, it doesn't necessarily mean that like, yo, you like sucking dick. It just means that like, yo, that's ephemeral, right? Like, you're effeminate. You're not, it's not a masculine thing. It's a very like quote unquote girly thing to do, which is like, yo, we grew up in that environment. You know, we like, I went to school in the hood. You went to school in the hood. Like, that's the real fucking thing.
That's what they say. You wear a pink shirt. Back in there, I mean, I love pink, but if you wore that in junior high school, you would definitely make fun. And y'all may be aware that being in junior high school, you care so much about what people think of you. So yeah.
And so, but when you said it's questionable, that's what you meant. Like, that's the first thing that came up, was like, so is that what ringed for you? It was like, yo, that's gay if you do that. Be honest.
No. Honestly, no. It's just like, I don't know. I can't picture it,
Yeah, but okay, so here's the thing with that, right? So I had, I remember when the thought came to mind that I was gonna get a nose piercing, a few things that have been happening. And I'm still like, feel like it's my truth in a lot of ways, like getting I really like the thin hoop nose ring. And nose rings are gangster. Like, look at Tupac. Tupac had a thick one, you know what I mean? Like, there's no one more gangster than that. So Thug Life, and he had a fucking nose ring. So there's nothing you can really say from that standpoint. It's really just about who you are, and why are you doing it, And I like the look on some dudes, and I think I can rock it. I think there's again, there's something like similar to the bird, similar to the flower on my arm. There's something I'm attracted to, and this is only coming through now as we're talking about it. There's something I'm attracted to where, like, I feel like the more I feel embodied in my masculine, the more I'm comfortable and interested in things that are considered feminine, if that makes sense, from like a aesthetic perspective, in certain ways, right? Or maybe not even feminine, but just neutral, like, like I can lean towards the unisex stuff. I mean, look at my name. My name is Jesse. Like, I'm the unisex is right there. You know what I mean? And so I find myself just becoming more attracted or interested into these things. Like even fashion, I think like the more I used to be very much like, I fucking wear whatever. I'm a guy. Who gives a fuck? Like, I'm just going to wear some baggy pants, or I'm just going to wear this. And like, as I got older, I definitely became more interested in how I dressed and taking care of myself and all of these things. When, and they used to, it's funny, they used to have a word for this. I forgot what it was called, but I remember there was a whole South Park episode on this. Do you remember this? When I think, who's the main dad in the show? Do you remember in South Park?
I never watched South Park, FYI.
Hold on, we're gonna young Jamie it real quick.
We're gonna find out. For those who know South Park, you probably know, but I didn't grow up watching South Park, unfortunately.
Yeah. Let me see.
I was too busy playing video games.
Kenny's dad. Kenny
was the one with the jacket on all the time, right?
Wait, hold on. Kenny's dad.
He was the one that got killed all the time, right?
No, not Kenny's dad. That's like not that dude. Kenny's dad is like the trucker. Dad, South Park. Randy Marsh is his name. The one with the mustache. South Park dad. Father of Stan and Shelly. Randy Marsh. Randy Marsh? Hold on. Give me a sec, folks. Stan Marsh. Who the fuck is Stan Marsh? Oh, yeah, Stan. Okay. The dude, I don't know. I think he's not the Jewish one. The one with the beanie. And the red thing on the top of his head. So Stan's dad, there's this whole episode where he starts he meets these group of guys who are really into pampering themselves and making sure their hair is nice and making sure everything looks good. And I forgot the word for it, but there's a word for there was a word that was used for straight guys who were really into taking care of themselves. And it doesn't get used anymore because it's a really common thing now for guys to take care of themselves, be interested in how they look, which is a fascinating point. And if someone knows what that word is, tell us.
Hit us up.
Hit us up. And so back to the nose ring. So I remember it's been interesting, the response I've been getting with this is I've had particularly, I've only really brought this up to women, is I've been just curious what they think about a guy getting a nose piercing. Plus and again, the psychology of it, why am I asking women? Why am I not asking men? Because I'm attracted to women and I want to
attract women.
I want to attract women. So I'm trying to get confirmation as to, is this a good decision? Will you like me? Will you like me if I have this? Will you still see me as an attractive male if this is happening? Versus me really, it's one thing if it's yo, you're my best friend, I haven't brought this up to you and you're my fucking dog. You know what I mean? Why? Because I don't give a fuck if you like how I look or not. You're my homie. I'm not trying to fuck. So right now I'm not trying to fuck anyone, but in general, you know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? So
of course.
And so I remember, so I had a few different responses. So I've had some yeah, I think it would look good on you. I think it would look good on you. But what was interesting is, and then I remember I brought it up to my dad, and that's going to be hilarious because if I do decide to get it, because with my dad, he's straight. My dad's old school, you know what I mean? He's from Soviet Union times, you know what I mean? And so when I said that I was thinking about getting a nose ring, he's like, "Oh, that's a funny joke," and he wasn't even he really thought I was joking. He legitimately was like, "I know you're just fucking with me." And I was like, oh shit. Because you have no idea how much I'm not fucking with you. But even then, like even when that happened, I still had this twinge of like, ooh, my dad is really against this. What does that mean? How is he gonna respond? Blah blah blah. All these things, you know what I mean? And I had that with my hand tattoos too, because he was now he loves them. But when I was thinking about getting them, he was like, "What? You're gonna get birds in your hand? Like, what the fuck is that?" You know? And so, and again, like, even though I knew I was still gonna go through with it, whatever, there was still that part of me that was like, "Oh, my father doesn't approve of this," you know? That's still, I'm 24 years old, I live my own fucking life, and that still comes up for me, you know? But here's like the interesting response I've gotten from women, the most common one. This is the most common response I've gotten, which is, you could rock it, like you could wear it, it would look good on you, but it's not you, or I don't think it's you. And I remember the first time I heard that, and I know one of the girls listens to this podcast, so if you're hearing this, I still got mad love for you. I just need to share this. So, which is like, I remember when one girl said that to me, and I thought in my head, I was like, how the fuck do you know? You know, like, how do you know what is me and what is not me? You only know what I've shown you. You only know of me based on what I've allowed you to see.
Exactly.
You know, what I've allowed myself to express to you. I'm a multifaceted being. I have 7,000 different personalities, 7,000 different ways of showing up in this world. You know what I mean? I could be a different person wherever I go. I'm a goddamn chameleon. So how can you tell me what's me and what's not me? And you've known me for like, I've known me since the day I was born. You've known me for a fucking week. Like, how do you know who the fuck I am? You know what I mean?
100%.
Even if you know me for 3 years and you say you would look good on you, but it's not you. But what is actually happening? That's what I'm curious about, is like, is what is the thing about, because here's the thing, I've definitely said that to people. I've definitely been like, if someone, I've definitely am guilty of someone coming to me being like, hey, I have this idea for doing this. And I go, I don't know if that's you. I've done that, you know, and to be honest, maybe there's times where that's valid. Like, maybe there's times where that's valid, where it's like, if this is your best fucking friend or your partner, and you just know their weaknesses, or you know, like, if I was gonna say to you, yo, I think I'm gonna become a scientist, right? I would want you to be like, no, I would want you to be like, really, bro? Like, are you sure? Because like, you know, these are your weaknesses. Are you ready to work on that? Right. So it might be good to challenge a person to be like, well, why do you want to do that?
Yeah.
You know, but why do people respond in a way where it goes, that's not you? And my thought, what comes up for me is like, we love to put people in a box.
100%. All the time.
We love to put people in a box. You know, one of the most common things I've gotten in my life is like, oh yeah, you're a player. And I'm like, I'm not a player, right? I'm not a player. But you take flirtation, you take the way I look, right? Like the way I am perceived as this type of man, a man that looks like this is a player, right? And that's based off of your experiences and what you've had. And so it's it's easy to take one thing and just immediately put it in this bucket. And people constantly put us in buckets, you know.
All the time.
I remember I've been called a philosopher, right? Because I like to talk about psychology. I like to talk about the universe and all this stuff. And Jesse's a philosopher. And how many times in our lives are people just going, oh, Ruben's this, Ruben's that, Ruben's just into that stuff. Ruben's just, and why? How do you know? How do you know what Ruben is into? I don't even know what Ruben is as Ruben. I don't even know what the fuck Ruben's into. So how the fuck do you know what Ruben's into? I don't know what Ruben is, you know?
Karina doesn't even know what I'm into.
Yeah,
She
exactly.
lives
And
with
so
me.
it's like, exactly. And so like, for me, I, and I've still had hesitation on getting the nose ring, even though,
Oh
uh,
wow.
even though I'm like, that feels right. I definitely think it's something I want to experiment with. You know, I like that look. I think it will look good on me. It's something that like, there's this edginess of me that I'm feeling is coming through, you know, and I think there's an edginess to the nose ring. I think there's just like certain things about parts of me that want to be expressed and shared externally, but really it's for myself. And this is why I have a lot of compassion. I've recently gained more compassion for those who like will like guys who want to dress stereotypically like a girl, right? It's like, you're not dressing like that because you want others to see you like that. And maybe some are, because again, what's your intention? Why are you doing it? Are you doing it because this is the narrative, this is the victimhood that people are in, so you're going to choose to be different, so you're part of the same of a different group, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I would ensure that there are a portion of those people that are really doing that because that's really what makes them feel like them. You know what I mean? That really makes them feel more like themselves. And I feel that, you know, like getting tattoos, for example, as a small example, makes me feel more like me. You know, even though I'm adding something, it makes me feel more like who I am. And so, and the way I dress makes me feel like more like who I am. And this feeling about, you know, experimenting with the nose ring. And again, it's one of those things that like even you had a response of like, huh, like what does that mean? You know, what is like Jesse's getting nose ring and what? Like what? And that's gonna be a response that people are gonna feel. And can I
Right.
be okay with that? You know?
Mm.
And so, and then the self-expression from the mental emotional side kind of all ties in, which is like, am I comfortable really being all of me, right? And this is what I'm so excited about with abstinence, is so much of my character I've built for the ability to be a social butterfly with women.
Right.
Because in turn, being a social butterfly with women makes you a social butterfly with men, right?
Right.
It gives you status, right? If you are
100%.
good, if you are good around women, other guys are attracted to you because they're like, you're someone who
You get the
is a
girls.
you get the girls, you know how to interact with women.
Yep.
And so I want to interact with you because you're going to interact with women. Or like, honestly, like playing the game is on both fronts, right? Like what is attractive to women is also attractive to men, you know, in a lot of different ways. It may be expressed a little bit differently, the way you might say it. But like I flirt up guys all the time. I flirt up Ruben all the time, right? I call him like, yeah, what's up, sexy? Or I'll be like, hey, what's going on? You know, like this, right? Like I'll play tug. And I've said this to girls all the time. It's like, yeah, I'm flirtatious, but I flirt with everyone, right? It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're trans, gay, bi, fucking
Right.
a cheetah. Like it doesn't matter.
Cheetah.
I'm gonna flirt you up because that's just my nature, right? But what does it look like when, like, how can I step more into expressing more of myself? For example, right? For example, I pray before I eat, right? I say a prayer before I eat. I give thanks before I eat. But I never do that when I'm out to dinner with a girl. You know what I mean? I won't give thanks. I won't say, hey, let's take, actually I did recently. I went out with a friend and was like, hey, you mind if we give thanks for this meal? And I was hella uncomfortable. Why? Because she was uncomfortable. Because she was like, no one fucking does that. People don't do that, right? That's not necessarily a normal thing to do,
Right. Exactly.
right? And so like, but I took that chance because that's my truth. Like I give thanks before I eat a meal. It enhances my experience. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel gratitude. But I won't do it. I won't do it in a public setting, or because I'm like, that's just way too much. Like that's it. I'm inconveniencing this
Someone else.
person,
Right.
right? For myself. Or like they're gonna have this idea that I'm some crazy Jesus freak or crazy like religious person for doing, or like what a weird like new agey guy who's into this stuff, you know, what, when it's really, it's like, nah, like there's science behind gratitude, there's science behind prayer and all these things and how it affects the molecules and the water you drink and the food that you eat. And also like, yeah, there was a hell of a ton of work that was put into this plate coming to your face. And so like you can't take 30 seconds to just acknowledge all the effort that was put into this meal, you know, everything from the farmer to the chef to the restaurant to the animal sacrificing itself. Like you can't take 30 seconds, just check it out, right? And I'm saying this to me, I'm not saying this to the person, I'm saying for me, like I would choose the comfort of the person versus the acknowledgement of sustenance and all the effort that was put into this thing. And it's a good, the crazy thing is, it's like, I'm not saying like, hey, I have demonic thoughts and I just don't want to express them. That's my truth. It's like, these are pure thoughts. These are light thoughts.
Right.
And I have fear of sharing that with the world. And then the other part of that, the other example I'll give, and then I'll let you run with everything that's being shared here, is expressing my power. And
yes.
that is, that might be such a trigger for some people to hear that. But when I say power, I don't mean dominion.
Right.
I don't mean dominance over another person. I don't mean the ability to dominate or overpower somebody, or like come into a room and fucking everyone turns their head and it's me and I'm standing there with my chest proud. Bow to me. Get to the chopper. Like that's not what I'm talking about when I say power. When I say power is the subtle energy of knowing, like being grounded in knowing my worth, being grounded in knowing my ability and to affect a situation, to inform a situation, to take the years of study that I already have under my belt and bring it forth in a conversation, or bring it forth in a meditation, or bring it forth in whatever the situation is, right? And trusting myself when something is right for the group, right? Like we're in a group setting and I want to take a hard left, and knowing that if my enthusiasm is true and my feeling is true, then we're all going to resonate on this decision, and we're all going to know that it was the best decision in that moment. And then we're going to return back to whatever was after, right? Like we live in a quantum world. We could jump from one thing to the next, so it's not a big deal. And that is something that I am like really, that's something where my attention is right now, is recognizing my power and knowing I can use it, and knowing that I have the power to uplift others. I have the power to bring joy and light and happiness into a situation, but I have to choose that. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily have to always be like, well, the universe is gonna, if it's meant to be, the universe will put it forward. The universe is also waiting on me to go, this is what I want. Right. And this is what I get to create.
I'm taking it. Yep.
And I'm going into this scenario with this intention, and I'm gonna push forward with the universe, with side by side fucking cheering me on. But at times I have to choose what I want something to be, even especially when that includes other people. I get to also choose what that environment is and what it's meant to do, and how I show up, right? How I express myself, how I hold boundaries, how I enter a conversation. What things do I not let people slide on, right? what if you're saying something, I'm going to hold you accountable and it's going to inconvenience you. And how often do we let people in our lives say some shit that we really don't agree with, but we're just like, it's easy. You know what I mean? It's easy. Like, let them think that way, whatever. Right? How many, like, sometimes that is the best choice, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes you have to look them in the fucking face and be like, hey, do you really mean what you say? Why? Why do you mean that? Why do you feel that way? Right. Where do you get your information from? Am I pissing you off? Why? Right? Is this uncomfortable for you? Then watch what you say around me, because I'm going to G-check you. And there are people in my life who are like that. And I have to be very fucking aware of what I say around them. If I trust them, if I respect them enough, right?
Right.
If they're not just bullies, but they're speaking from a place of love and integrity, right? It goes back to integrity. Like, I know around certain people, I can't just talk willy-nilly. I have to really watch everything I say, because they'll look at me and be like, is that really what the fuck you mean? Or do you mean this? And I'm like, where do you get information from? You know, like so really, I know I went all over the place with that, but that's what's coming up for me as far as self-expression. I'm gonna throw that at you now.
It's like so many things come up because like self-expression is such a big, subtle, big part of our life, because like, you know, and you can read books like Lewis Howes' Mask of Masculinity, and that's mostly for men, but you know, how women even show up based on, like, you know, me and Karina talk about it all the time on how a woman shows up in the workplace versus how they are in like the, you know, the regular life, just due to the fact that what the workplace is like, right? It's very masculine. It was built around like a masculine, you know, 9 to 5 follows the masculine clock and all these things. You can read books on by Alicia Vitti. She really digs into this kind of work. And it's kind of funny how like when we want to express ourselves to like who we truly are, instead of like putting this mask on so we can like pray and dance around everybody and be like, this is actually me, and behind the mask you're completely someone different. But it's like, how can we at one like integrate a bit more of ourselves? And it's funny enough, in my day job I've gotten feedback, and although people don't know me outside of work, I bring I would say a big part of myself to work, right? Like, and funny enough is we go back to that ancient like quote, which is like, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And that's so true, right? If you have integrity in one place in your life, you're going to have integrity in all parts of your life, you know? And granted, there are like those outliers who are like, you know, they may be amazing at work, but they're cheating on their wife or their husband beyond, like outside of work, right? So the integrity, like, yeah, they have it at work, but outside of work they definitely don't, right? So there are those outliers, and that happens more often than we may think. But it's I try, like, and I want to do it more, like, just whether that's, you know, the way I show up with Karina, like I'm very playful and jokeful, and like I like to play jokes on her, and sometimes she gets annoyed, but you know, that's me. Like I like to be like, kind of like, my inner child comes out much more when I'm around her. And I think, you know, it's my creative, you know, a loving and abundant self, versus like when I'm, whether that's with this or like at work, I'm more of like, I don't know, you can say like more tightly knit, like suited up, right? Like, oh, I need to show up this way because, you know, I want people to respect me. And it's like, well, why can I be playful at the same time and show those pieces of myself that the inner child still does exist? So I've experimented with that recently by sharing, like, you know, I have the little, if you're watching this on YouTube, I have little pops behind me because I want people to see when I'm on my video calls at work, like, yeah, I have this certificate on holistic health. You know, I have like quotes behind me and like this beautiful Grand Canyon picture. But hey, I'm a big fan of anime. I love anime. It's been something with me since my childhood. I talk about gaming. And I even, like, sometimes when I'm in my trainings, I use examples from gaming, like in storytelling, and like specific characters that I think show up in a very great way, because they're all just embodiments of who we are, right? Like the hero story is all of us. And that's why these things are so attractive to so many people.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've been doing better, but I'm still not, I'm still very much like, oh, I need to be like very serious and just be like all super, super professional. But why can't I talk the way I've always talked? You know what I mean? Like that's been coming up for me a lot. Like, how are you expressing yourself? Like, bro, I used to say like, yo, son, I used to talk a lot like that. And then I've lessened that over the years as I've gotten further in my career, and I have
Mm-hmm.
to work with clients as a
Yeah.
coach. And like sometimes, the clients may be people who work in these organizations for God knows how long. So I have to show up a specific, because if I show up like, yo, B, what's good? Like I don't know how that's gonna come off to somebody. So there's like a healthy line that we have to like be on, that's like a mix of like, yes, I'm being self-expressed, but I'm also adapting to the situation because
Yeah.
my livelihood does depend on it. But I have this thing, it's like I'm gonna show myself up 80%. Like 80% of me all the way through. And then the 20% could be for my friends and my love, my
But
fam.
that doesn't sound like a limiting belief though.
It could be. Because
Because
that's a
like, what is
question.
it? What is the 20%?
I guess it's the jokeful part of myself.
And so, like, why can't that be? Why can't you be 100% you everywhere you go?
It comes back to what you were saying, like, oh, I might offend somebody with a joke, or like, especially
Yeah.
in this environment we live in that's so sensitive. Like, you never know what you might say. That's just like, oh, someone was triggered by that, and it wasn't even like, I didn't say the N word. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but they may be triggered by something else that I use, or even like people have been triggered by cuss words. If I say fuck
Mm-hmm.
in public, and it's like, hey, there's kids around. And it's just like, that's happened way long ago, but I remember getting that and just like,
Yeah, me too.
what? So like, I have a potty mouth. I'm from New York, bro.
I'm
Like,
New York,
I'm
bro.
from New York, bro. Like, fuck that. Like, there's all these
Yeah.
moments, and it's just like, oh, I don't want to. There's this fear of being judged. Obviously, I'm getting over that as I'm getting
Yeah.
older. I feel like age does help you with like giving less fucks, because you're just more of like, I don't care about you.
Yeah.
Like there's people that I care about, and those people are I would do anything for them. You
Yeah.
don't, like, yes, you matter. I'm kind to people. I'm not nice to people, and that's like the difference, right?
Mm.
Like I'll be kind enough to be like, yeah, I'm respectful of you because you're another human living on this planet, and you have your own struggles and whatnot, but get out of my face. Like at the same
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah. I guess I would, and this is, I'm saying this to you, but I'm saying this to myself, is like like there could be 100% you, but that 100% you, that joke version of you can be expressed in a way that's graceful, but it still gets to exist. You know what I mean?
right, right.
Like, and I've always loved this is an analogy I picked up from Pickup, actually, that I think is a fucking amazing analogy, which is like the analogy, I'm sure you've heard of this one, like the analogy of the baby. And it's like, when a baby cries and screams, or when a baby shits itself, or when a baby is giggling in your face and you don't even know this baby, right? You accept all of it. Why? Because it's a baby. That's what babies do, right? You have an idea of this creature, and therefore you allow certain things to happen because you expect it from them. But then as adults, if I giggle in your face, you think I'm a fucking creep. And you might be right. But the thing is you just have a different expectation of me, because people at a certain age don't do things like that. If I shit myself and I'm 32 years old, it's like, what the fuck? How did that happen? But if I'm a baby and I shit myself, it's fine, because that's what babies do. And so what I'm getting at is like people will accept you if you present, like, if that's just who you are, right? If
Mm-hmm.
people will accept certain things, and you see this, I mean, you like, talk about Pickup, like, you can see this all the time, right? Like, if I say, if I don't want to say I as in me, but like a guy who has confidence, who is always like bringing sexual innuendos into a conversation. You know, if he says a dirty joke, right? If he says like a really dirty joke about towards you, you'll fuck towards a girl, right? And she's already established that like this is who this man is, this is how he talks, this is how he engages, and he keeps it fun and flirty and whatever, right? Then she goes ha 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 ha, right? But if it's a guy who's like being super nice and is like, you know, like talking quietly, you know, talking very proper, blah 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 blah, and then he takes a left turn and then says a dirty joke out of nowhere, that he could have said the same exact words, but it'll be received very differently, because
yep.
she already established that Nick the nice guy, it doesn't have a dirty mind. You know, he doesn't have a dirty mind. He doesn't have sexual thoughts, or if he does, he keeps it to himself. He doesn't express that. Versus, you know, Jack the jerk off is Jack the jerk off is, you know, he's talking sex all the time, you know, and so if he says some wild shit to you, you're gonna laugh it off because you're like, that's just Jack the jerk off, you know. Nick the nice guy, he's not gonna say something like that. So that's what I mean, is like, if you just are a funny guy, you know, or if you are joke and playful, then that's who Ruben is, you know.
Right.
And people will have to accept that, you know. They won't know any other way to live except to accept that. Because if I had a nose ring and I met somebody new, they're not gonna, you know what they won't say to me? They'd be like, that nose ring, it's nice, but it's not you. They won't say that because they don't have any other reference point. They only know Jesse with a nose ring. You know what I mean? So, because it's already there. So they already experience me as a totally different person. You know what I mean? So.
I'll just close out with this because I know we're about to log out, and I think there's something. The last thing I want to say about self-expression is that as you move through life, at least this is what I've noticed over the last 10 years, where I really started to step out of who I am and step out of my shell and stop being the homebody that I used to be, or wearing black, white, and gray all the fucking time, like like being that person has been like, as I'm exploring and letting those parts of myself shine out more often to more and more people, and like not caring about what people think more and more, I'm starting to also explore new frontiers of who I am. Because like behind what you used to hide, once you start removing the junk, you start realizing that there's so much more space behind there, and you're just like, I've never seen this room before. It's like going into, think of your body and like your emotions and your mental state as like this big ass house, and there's certain parts that you have so much access to, but there's certain parts that you keep away. But as you start opening those parts, you're noticing that, there's so much space here. Like, why haven't I seen this before? I never seen this painting that exists, right? Starting to see these beautiful pieces of who you are that exists in all of you. And then you start realizing like, I'm more than even what I thought. So you're like exploring pieces. Sorry, Siri's talking to me. You're exploring pieces of yourself that you get to like really delve into and be like, this was who I am this whole time. So as you are growing, and this doesn't have to be age related, that as you are growing, period, and you start getting more comfortable with it, this expression of yourself, you start noticing like, I'm so much more like this power that's behind you, and like all these pieces. Like I never thought of it that way because I was blocked by all these other things that I finally let go of, and now I get to see this, all these beautiful pieces of myself, and share that with all my friends and loved ones.
Absolutely. And the last thing I'll add to what you just said is, when you can and I'm seeing this, I'm really seeing this for me lately, which is the more I can accept myself, the more I can accept others.
Yes.
The more I can allow me to come through and to express my truth, the more, and not only can I allow others to express their truth, but I celebrate others for their truth. And that may not necessarily be the easiest thing all the time, right? Like, and so watch what you get triggered by. If you see a guy walking down the street with some heels and that triggers you, why? What of you are you not like? What of you triggers yourself to not express yourself when you're out there, that you want to shut another person down from expressing themselves? You know what I mean? And I would lie if I said I haven't been that person. Not necessarily the heels. I went to high school for theater, so I was already seeing guys in heels at a younger age. It was fine, right? But there are certain things I wish I could give you a really good example right now. It's a good example, and then we'll jump. I've had a problem with women dressing like quote unquote scandalous, right? I've had a problem with them. This is like since I was younger, and even in my last relationship, this is something that came up, which is like I did not like when women dressed revealing with like their sensual body parts, exposing themselves, and certain things would like viscerally affect me where I would get angry, right? And why, right? What about me did I not like showing off? What parts of myself that physically or any way that I knew were sexy about me, but I didn't want to put it out there because I was insecure about them, or I didn't want to be seen in that way, or whatever the story was, right? But like recently I've let that go. Recently I've been like, if you feel fucking sexy, then fucking do you, right? It's another thing if you're just like doing it because, again, always intention, right? But there are women who like will do that because they feel fucking sexy. You know what I mean? Not because they're trying to get some, or they're trying to create a mirage for a guy or something. They're doing it because they really feel embodied and they like their body, right? And for a long time, I didn't like my body. That's the truth, right? For a long time, I did not like my body. And so anything that showed off my body, I was terrified of, right? And so if I saw a woman who was showing off her body, I was terrified for her. I was angry. I was like, how dare you? How could you? How could you do something like that? Or even guys, right? Even guys who could have good physiques and would wear a really tight shirt. I'm like, look at that guy wearing a really fucking tight shirt,
Or just walking around with no shirt in the park.
Yeah, look at this fucking guy. Who does he think he fucking is? Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, man, that's you. That's your shit. That's your shit. And so this is the truth, man. The more you accept yourself, the more you can accept others.
Amen. Amen, brother.
Amen. Aho.
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 Let's shut it down, bro. So part 1, part 2 coming soon. Y'all already know what to do. Share this, subscribe if you are not subscribed to the podcast already. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a like, comment, share this with a friend, share this with a family member who might want to explore their own self-expression, explore their integrity, all these things we talked about today. I can't wait to dig into integrity deeper in our next one. But yeah, folks, like, enjoy, expect the next one, listen to part 2 and part 3. And
they're going to be live.
They're going to be live.
Ruben is coming in tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So
this will release after I already have left, but shut
the fuck up, man. Don't kill it.
Don't kill it. Yeah. All right, folks. Thank you so much for showing up. We'll see you next time.
Peace. Yeah. Peace, y'all.